Oh, yeah. Thank you, Bad Mary, as always, for that too sweet playing. Welcome back, all you four-color funny book aficionados. Those that aren't on vacation, that is. This is US Comics Cast, Chapter 3, HQ for all things comic book related. I am John Rivera, the CEO, AAWA co-founder of US Comics.
And that, of course, makes me your co-host, the co-founder, the COO. They call me Charlie Rivera because that's my name. Happy Comic Book Day, John. I'm no longer in Puerto Rico. I'm now on a luxurious boat out in the middle of nowhere. Be jealous. We are live to tape because that's just the way we choose to be, but we are here for you. So make sure you're commenting, make sure you're trying to get yourself seen if you're live with us on YouTube or Facebook. If you listen to the audio format, it is available everywhere. You can find podcasts, so make sure you rate, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you like us over at US Comics HQ. John, how you doing, buddy? Do you miss me yet?
I mean, that really all depends on the level of souvenir that you are dragging back with you. And honestly, if it's off of the buffet table, I'm going to know about it because by design, those things are not meant to last. They're supposed to be plopped onto your plate. They've got a shelf life of about 30 to 45 seconds at that point. Just enough you can like and go back to the open bar. So make it a good one, dude. It's on you now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. John,
Yeah.
what are your feelings on things that just stick around forever?
Like my brother.
Like your brother, or more like a show that I wasn't even aware being still on the air, about to wrap up after 11 seasons. Walking Dead is finally puttering to its end. Like 3 years ago, I feel like I was talking to you about Walking Dead, and you like, it's not bad if you watch it like without commercials back to back. Like if you're just binging Walking Dead, it's not bad. Have you even thought about Walking Dead in the 2020s?
You know, it's very interesting because I would how do I put this? I would categorize Walking Dead, the TV show, specifically. I would categorize him with Frankenstein, with Dracula, most like witch content. If Walking Dead pops up for me and it's like spring is in the air and there's flowers and things are blooming and there's happy doves on the I have to be in a Walking Dead mood. Now nobody can deny that when Walking Dead dropped, right? It was a game changer. It there was nothing bigger in the world for a lengthy stretch of time than zombies falling apart, than survivors all calling zombies different little nicknames, cutesy things, who was hooking up with who, how the hell the lawns got mowed during this like zombie emic that was going on in that universe. But like pretty much everyone else, there was a level of zombie fatigue that set in. You know, like not even a zombie bite on the tuchus could have knocked you out of that world faster. But yeah, I do recall, now that you said it out loud, I recall the conversation we had where there was, at the time, there was a new season dropping, and I had the thought of, where the, as a Walking Dead comic reader, to know where they were in the show meant, what have they completely pulled out of fucking thin air? Because the Walking Dead show deviated so quickly from the Walking Dead comics that the comics, even in hand, was no help. So that's why 3 years ago, if your timing is right, and I'm suspect, not forced myself, but I said, look, John, if you're going to jump into this newest season, you gotta binge everything up to now. And it holds up. My Walking Dead binge was, I wouldn't say as enjoyable as when Walking Dead first kind of like dropped and took over our lives, but certainly a hell of a lot more enjoyable than that current iteration of week to week, waiting to see who Maggie's gonna try to nag to fucking death next. Is it okay? Is it safe to say that you like Negan now? Like that was Negan might have been the first victim of cancel culture. You're like, look, yeah, so you crush one dude's head with a bat, and all of a sudden, oh, you're the bad guy. Whatever. Like, do we not know what to expect from fucking from the comedian? Like, really, is this behavior surprising to anybody?
Like
Regardless,
Batman's dad is fucking hardcore. This motherfucker did a lot to avoid his snot-nosed
obviously,
brat kid.
Bruce became Batman. Hurt people, hurt people. It was destined to happen, dude. But yeah, I hit that same point. But yeah, I stand by it. The binges are still good TV eating.
Now that the show is wrapping up, now I'm finally like, I'm gonna like start with season one. It's gonna be that thing that when there's nothing else to watch, I'm gonna chuck in Walking Dead because, like the entire world, I mean, Walking Dead did something kind of miraculous when they came out. It was like 2 years before they had their own convention. They weren't just taking over San Diego Comic Con. They weren't just taking over New York Comic Con. They had like Walking Dead Con,
The
and they're
Walker Stalker Con, which might be the best name of any non-comic book exclusive related con.
and what's crazy about that for me is like there were the Star Trek conventions, there was the Star Wars conventions, and then really no other group like the every pop culture kind of tent pole has these conventions, but they tend to be very, very small.
And
Walker
not the
Stalker
anime
Con,
ones. The anime ones are like,
yeah, but
woo!
that's all anime. That's not just there's not an Akira Con that's taking over a whole hotel. You
Not
know what I
yet.
mean? Not yet. We're gonna come there one day. What I found really, really interesting about Walking Dead was it falling out of the cultural zeitgeist felt way quicker than anything else I've seen. Like it was almost normalized that like Walking Dead became the show to just a show seemingly overnight. I mean, this was a show that people were so crazy about. Talking Dead wound up pulling in massive ratings, which is a show that was just vaguely talking about the episode that just aired. Now,
What about
11.
comic book men like their meteoric success following the rebroadcast of that same night's episode? That's how much juice Walking Dead
Yeah.
had.
The spillover was enough to feed your family for a week. There is clearly a lot to love about Walking Dead, but even then, the fun was the speculation. And I personally feel like my legs have been completely cut out from under me. I'm actually going to put up the spoiler warning for the next minute. So if you don't want to hear what I have to say, mute me for a minute. But John, I assume you've seen this announcement, but one of the spin-off shows is Maggie and Negan. So we know these motherfuckers live. How are you going to spoil before the series finale? How are you going to spoil two characters that are definitely going to survive? That is fucking insane to me.
Yeah,
You
no,
don't think that's nuts?
that's definitely like questionable timing, but like we talk about it all the time in terms of trailers, the trailer makers versus the movie makers, right? We talk about them seeming to not be on the same page a lot of, if not most of the time. I feel like this could be something along those lines where the people who are paying the bills, like, look, we write the checks for every jaw that gets ripped off, for every shuffling monster, for every time that a well zombie has to get pulled in half, every dummy bullet, especially nowadays post Rust, that becomes a very important conversation, where they feel where they're going to get their return. The producers of that material are going to get their money for they laid it out to begin with. Look, they're going to announce what they want to announce when they want to announce it. But creatively speaking, 200%, I could not agree with you more. It totally takes the teeth away from any bite of the, oh, golly, who they're going to survive. I hope so. Yeah, no, I'm totally with you on that.
Just for the again, we're going to avoid talking about the two characters that are starring in this new show. If you want it spoiled, you can just look up Isle of the Dead, one of the spin-off series. It's going to be
Or
a
rewind.
six-part
Seconds.
or rewind. It's going to be a 6-episode miniseries, seemingly, which I actually think is a brilliant way of doing it. I love the idea of these little pocket stories, longer than a feature film would have been, but shorter than needing to go on for 30 seasons. At least that's how it reads to me. It reads that Isle of the Dead is going to be a complete story, beginning, middle, end, told in 6 parts, 40 minutes at a clip. I remember still at the height of Walking Dead mania when they announced Fear the Walking Dead as a prequel, that it was going to take place kind of before the events of The Walking Dead proper, with Rick and the gang surviving The Walking Dead, which, by the way, not the zombies. The Walking Dead are the people. Have we made that clear enough? Huh? People in zombie apocalypse are bad? Are we fucking clear enough? Fucking asshole. Zombie apocalypse, just everyone be cool. If the zombie apocalypse happens, relax. What did you feel about Fear the Walking Dead, their first foray into a side story? Were you excited about it at the time? When you sat down to watch it, what were your reactions as that drugged out asshole kept fucking up every adventure?
So I'm completely, I must admit that I was full-fledged addicted, as much if not more than everyone else at the time, to the point where when that spinoff happened, it was like a Christmas morning type scenario, because there were many episodes of Walking Dead where I'm watching the show, looking at the clock, watching the show, looking at the clock, because you're in that place where you don't want that storytelling to end. They really got us invested in those characters, and admittedly, um, some of those characters never existed in the comics, but even the ones that did were wildly different a lot of times than how they were depicted. So it was almost as if two different people telling you the same story, but like they're totally like on different pages, literally.
They're both vaguely remembering it.
At best, at best. But when they announced Fear the Walking Dead, I came from the place I'm like, oh, okay, with no source material, I don't have to worry about that thought. And now with an extra show, I don't even have to clock watch anymore. But take all that, throw that in the pot, a little bit of vegetable stock, put it on medium heat, and just let that shit simmer all day. What you're gonna end up with is a big old pot of John disappointment. I was not at all a fan of the quote unquote prequel Fear the Walking Dead. You know how long that was a prequel for?
2
Approximately
episodes?
2 fucking minutes, dude. They caught up time wise so lightning quick. They were the one hump chump of TV series. Basically, they were a prequel for as long as Rick was laying up in the hospital, and then all of a sudden they were just like fucking Walking Dead West. It was such a quick catch up. And that's the other thing too. When someone tells you who they are, believe them. You can apply that same logic to a show. When a show says that they a goddamn liar, you say, you know what? I'ma believe you, just like George Lucas did. George Lucas said, hey guys, this is not my jawline. Also, as well as, even though they're kissing constantly, I never really planned to have Luke and Leia be brother and sister, because I am a liar. And everyone knows it because Han shot first. Where's the camera? Tap, tap. Salute. Knock it back.
Oh, that's not better warm. Oh my gosh. So my favorite zombie thing, and this is probably sacrilege because I love George Romero's work. Obviously, it's so influential that it's almost a boring answer to be like, George Romero's movies are my favorites. I'm like, no shit. He defined the modern zombie
Welcome
genre.
to the party, pal.
Nice. Um, and perfectly acceptable answers are all over the place, but my favorite, and it comes from our childhood. You got yourself a copy of Resident Evil 2, and I got to be your fucking map reading assistant. And some of my favorite memories of growing up with you was in essence watching you play that scary as fuck game in the dark, way too close to the
You were
TVs.
basically IRL Twitch before IRL or Twitch was an actual thing.
I was like every stereotype in a movie. They're like, "Don't go in there, John. Don't go in there. There's some lizard monster." But
And for
what I
some
love,
reason, you sounded like Patrice O'Neal's mom. You're like, "Oh, don't go in there! Oh, don't go in there!"
see, let's just stay safe in the police precinct. Ain't that better? Zombies outside. Ain't got no bullets. Ain't that better? But the reason I loved Resident Evil 2 in its opening sequence is seeing shit pop off finally. Like, clearly, there was a game that fucking precedes Resident Evil 2 where the mansion is crawling with zombies, but it finally made it to the city. When I heard that Fear the Walking Dead was going to take place before, I literally thought we were going to start on, and a bunch of fucking creative and not creative people have called it like Z Day. But the idea of like when that first fucking zombie bites that first motherfucker, that's the show I'm still waiting for, because it can lend itself to like almost an action adventure. I keep visioning, and it's like that thing where it's like maybe one day someone will let me do it, but like make a character like Indiana Jones in a zombie fucking situation. That's the shit I wanna see. There have been comics that have done it exceedingly well. There have been novels that have done it exceedingly well. But sometimes even like adaptations, World War Z is kind of that action adventure zombie story, but the movie fucking sucked butts for me. Like, it just didn't work for me. Were you expecting something different out of Fear the Walking Dead, or was it just you were open to anything and it just kind of missed the mark for you?
Well, like I had mentioned before, considering that it was packaged and presented as like a prequel, um, I didn't think they meant like 24 to 48 hours prequel. I thought that they truly, if someone said, "Hey, John, we need a prequel to this fucking behemoth success that we have with Walking Dead," and you're going to be unfettered, especially considering that the comics, spoiler for anyone who is intending to and has not done so, read through the full breadth of the Walking Dead comics, because it has indeed come to its conclusion, which is dynamite. It's a fucking dynamite. That being said, um, I thought that what they were gonna do with Walking Dead, with Fear the Walking Dead, was where the zombie apocalypse came from. They were gonna show you. They were gonna take it back to Z point and say this is how it all fucking began. And the inevitable conclusion of that series would have been like would have been Z Day, because we know how it began. Also, that might be one of the least fucking interesting things to watch unfold cinematically, whether it's big screen or small, as Uncle Ben or the fucking Wayne's dying. We've seen that 2 billion times. I promise you, you cannot give me something that I have yet to see in that initial zombie outbreak. We have seen it done to literal undeath. It's been done. It's been done better than any other way that you can possibly fucking think up, in your off time sitting on the bowl. So what I thought that series was going to be was all of the stuff that honestly we have seen, not to get deep, but we have seen in this COVID era, right? Like when something happens that is unintentional, or maybe like there was some kind of accident, maybe it was supposed to be weaponized, maybe somebody did something untoward with a bat, maybe it's something in between, who the hell knows. But this zombie apocalypse had a beginning, but that wasn't going to be the whole story. The whole story was going to be, I don't fucking know. I mean, I'm literally
You're
elevating, pitching
spitballing.
it right now. But like it could have been, oh, somebody realizing the image. Maybe they got some zombie rats running around. Like that could have been a series. That could have been maybe only 3 or 4 seasons. But you know, though, not everything has to go on forever and have 52 spin-offs. That could have been a very, very interesting, entertaining, and successful series for them to do. And all we got, like I said, was a fucking expansion team, off, and the fucking draft is terrible, and they're not going to be very good for several years because they got no pitching and no hitting, and that's damn what Fear was. And the bad part about it, the worst part about it, another bad part, because my not liking something is the worst. But the fact that they had such really a good cast, like there was no excuse almost to not have a good series, and they just didn't. They even fucking had to poach from the cast of regular Walking Dead, original flavor Walking Dead, and they still couldn't get it done. So, but yeah, that's how I would have fucking done it, and I'm very smart.
Fear the Walking Dead is very much new Coke. So Isle of the Dead sees two fan favorite characters survive the finale. Thanks again, AMC, for letting me know two of the survivors. Not like I had a vested interest. You fucking dicks. They travel finally. They're going to the East Coast. They wind up in post-apocalyptic Manhattan, long ago cut off from the mainland. The crumbling city is filled with the dead, who have made New York City their own, full of danger, anarchy, beauty, and terror. The thing I think I'm most excited about this this kind of East Coast flavor, it's like a rap battle is going to fucking happen on episode 1. I kind of love the promise of it being a limited series. Like you said, not everything has to be forever, and I suspect Walking Dead, because it is kind of it's such a staple of AMC. It's such a staple of cable television. Part of me is comforted to know that there's going to be something Walking Dead for a very long. Walking Dead Presents. I love the idea of these miniseries popping up every now and then. What is your excitement level? And I didn't actually ask you. I presume you haven't seen the most recent, since you've done your binge. Have you kept up with Walking Dead? Are you looking forward to the finale? And then from that, take us all the way to Isle of the Dead. What are your vibes? What are your feelings coming off of that?
So my Walking Dead policy was, again, the new season was coming out, and the drips and drabs that had been put out there had me interested to watch it anew, right? So like we spoke about, I did my binge, get myself all caught up, and then the Walking Dead Weekly, which that's a good idea for a podcast name. So anybody, you're more than welcome to borrow it. I give you permission now. The Walking Dead Weekly experience no longer worked for me. Look, change is inevitable, right? We all go through it. All of a sudden, you got hair growing in parts of your body that never seemed by design. Like, things change. And whereas prior, I'm like, oh, it's Walking Dead Day. That had gone away for me. So I did my binge, thoroughly enjoyed it. And I was a griper, just like many other people. Like, we become micromanagers. Well, I liked this episode, but not that episode. And like, shut the fuck up. Shut up. Anyways, but when that new season finally started coming out, and I was waiting like a dirty garbage monster for weekly installments, that took some of the enjoyment away from me. So I said, you know what? Be smart for once. Stop watching. Stop doing a weekly installment of this new season. Wait till it finishes, and you fucking you have your password. You have your password. Wait until the season wraps up, and then just binge that season as a whole. And on the whole, Preparation H feels good, and that did as well feel good to me. A quick aside: you had mentioned World War Z. I enjoyed the World War Z movie, and I'm very much looking forward to its sequel coming out. But did you know, or do you know, who wrote the book World War Z, in which the movie is based?
Wasn't that Stephen King's kid?
There is a relation involved to someone that I love. No, it is funny man extraordinaire, comedy god on Mount Rushmore of comedy, Mel Brooks' son.
Yes,
Max Brooks.
I knew it was a second generation,
Jeopardy,
like
little
fucking
Jeopardy fodder.
Not since the Riveras have families been this good at just end over end. Be like, you like the last model? This new model may be a different flavor. You like original John? What about chubby angry John coming this February? Hi, I'm pissed.
Tastes great. Very much as well as more filling. You are just gonna feel logy and like, I had too much Charlie today. Damn it. Ugh.
You know, the what's funny about the binging model is you and I have had this conversation a lot on this show over the last 3 seasons. There are some shows that just are much better served in the binge format. It wasn't, I mean, I remember when I rewatched Lost. I watched Lost in real time, and then the 10 minutes I worked with you, you were in the middle of a Lost rewatch, and it just plays so much better end over end. And I don't mean the traditional version of binging. I don't mean you dedicate a weekend and you don't sleep and you wind up with red eyes. When it becomes your one source of entertainment beyond live sports, there's something really special about it. And Walking Dead, I feel like wasn't always better served binging. Those first 2 seasons, I loved talking, the water cooler talk of what's going to happen next. What happened with Walking Dead, I feel like, was very suddenly certain episodes, Dick didn't happen. It was like hurry up and wait for whole chunks of a season. Season 6, part 1, the whole fucking half was like, are we getting to where are we going? What's even happening that's worth talking about?
There was more political talk in fucking certain sections of Walking Dead that make the Star Wars prequels seem action packed. Like it was ridiculous. Like you have no government. Why are you still fucking bound by red tape? What are you guys doing? Like you start rooting for the zombies at that point.
Yeah, I think what they've accidentally stumbled on, though, is potentially the keys to that success. Like I was saying before, these shorter formats, when you know you're 6 and out, we got 6 episodes to tell this story. You're not worried about a mid-season cliffhanger. You're not worried. You literally, your job is episode 1, you got to hook me. Episode 6, you got to finish. So everything in between, hopefully, will return us to this magical cum-covered land of every episode being important, and hopefully it'll feel like every episode leaves you wanting to talk about something. I distinctly remember if I went out, met some friends for dinner the night Walking Dead was out, I was one of the guys, after Talking Dead, I was watching that instant replay. I was up at midnight because I had to see it, because come the next day, everyone was going to be talking about it online. Everyone was going to talk about it everywhere you turned. Hopefully, these smaller kind of secondary series will bring us there. I know the other one that got announced, there's not a ton of details on it yet, but I do know Olivia Munn, Danny Ramirez are 2 of the big stars of a new The Walking Dead anthology series called Tales of the Walking Dead, which I'm also very excited about. Give me 1 or 2 micro stories, bring in amazing talent wherever in the timeline you want to do it. That I'm even more excited about than Isle of the Dead. Have you heard about that spinoff?
The video game entry that they had was like some of the best
from Telltale Studios.
Telltale Studios, yeah. So that Walking Dead world, like those versions of the zombie experience were dynamite. To me, though, at least in terms of like the comic, it began and ended for me with Rick. Like it was, to me, the comic, and again, spoiler alert, obviously. We already kind of know that the show cannot possibly follow the comic book path. It just can't. But like, it was Rick's story, right? I'm like a sucker for the cover guy. So I'm like, well, he's page 1. I'm all about it. That's why I was so shocked and chagrined. I'm like, you mean Saga's not about my guy, the superhero? Anyways, But Rick getting spin-off movies is also to a degree what you were talking about, like that spoiler centric. You're like, oh, so when he's literally pincushioned, dropped from like 13 stories into a raging river, he gonna walk away from that pretty much okay? All right, I guess so. Unless you're gonna have multiple movies where it's just Rick's fucking ravaged body slowly decaying like a time lapse film.
Like an art house film?
Seeing the coyotes come over and nudge him and take little, oh, there goes his ear. So that would be so, or like Rick as a zombie just stumbling, like a first-person zombie movie, which I may have just come up with another great idea. Don't rip this one off. I do not give you permission. Like a zombie experience. The poor bastard was like an ex-sports guy, had that first-person camera set up on him when he got infected by the zombie virus, and potentially forever, especially if that camera's got a little solar battery, like a solar cell battery. The guys are like, ah, and your first-person cameraing this is zombie for 2 hours, potentially, if it doesn't get a trilogy. But that might be where Rick is going. Who knows? So for me, I was like, I want to know what happens with Rick. This is a poor son of a bitch that has been through it, man. He's been through it. Like, if Rick sits next to you at the bar, is like, listen to this shit. You are in for a long night. You are probably emptying that fucking bottle of Jack that gets put on in front of you. So I was all about those Rick movies. The fact that there are now all these other spinoffs, I'm like, geez Louise.
Yeah, there's always going to be something walking. They're gonna milk that cow for whatever's worth. Hopefully, it'll be delicious and not milk, because milk will kill my fat ass. John, you bring up a good point, man. Sometimes telling tales, getting to sit down with Rick the character, that actually would be one hell of a post-apocalyptic podcast. And I bet that podcast, like this podcast, would be available every single Wednesday wherever you can hear podcasts. You can also look at our beautiful faces every Wednesday on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Facebook. US Comics HQ is our handle. Please join in the conversation. Like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend. Join in. Are you excited about Walking Dead? We want to know about it. But there's a simple and sometimes frustrating truth. We have dropped 3 seasons of episodes, and yet we cannot fill that hole in your heart that just constantly needs entertainment. So sometimes you have to go from audio podcast, and then you need to add something visual, like looking at me and my beautiful brother. And sometimes you just need that audio. You're driving to work, you're jogging at the gym, you need some great tunage, and there is arguably no greater tunage than one of my favorite bands, Bad Mary. You can follow them across all social media at Bad Mary Band. You can support them financially over on patreon.com/Bad Mary. And my favorite part is they just dropped a brand new LP, and it is available everywhere music is streaming. Just look up Bad Mary. They're also touring, which rocks, and you'll hear one of their brand new tracks at the very end of this episode in give or take about 15 minutes. And if that's not enough, John, why don't you tell these beautiful people about our next sponsor this week?
I may as well go ahead and do that, because it is none other than SGT Sergeant If You're Nasty Finesse. You can find them gaming on both Twitch and Facebook. Multiple streams every day. Outstanding video game content. Supporter games, co-streams, giveaways, contests. Don't be a sucker. Check them out today. If you need a pick-me-up, also and forever, follow the White Rabbit over to sneakenergy.com. Use code SGT at checkout. If you're looking for some fresh new merch, go over to geeksunleashed.com. Use code SARGE, Sarge. When Sarge is on deck, you salute. GG, son.
Fact. And also, as well as, we actually are fans of our sponsors. We're not just doing weird, stupid blind reads like all those horse shit podcasts that get way more viewers than us. But I do use a Ridge wallet in real life, so if anyone knows the people at Ridge, I can do a commercial that wouldn't be full of shit. The bands hold the cards. I fucking hate those ads on shitty podcasts. John, what the fuck is The Walking Dead World Beyond? They already did another spinoff that I had no idea about, set a decade after the zombie apocalypse, featuring 4 teenage protagonists and it focused on the first generation to come out of the age of the apocalypse as we know it. This show came out in 2020. Did you hear this show? Did you even watch an episode? I don't know that I've ever seen.
Not a single one. Not a single one. Not a.
I Did you know about it? How did I miss an entire show existing? That's fucking wild to me. I have to check that out. Apparently, there's two seasons, 10 episodes each season. And one thing that people seem to dig about it was they finally went to another country, which brings me to another point. Do you think these spin-offs, and obviously one of the new ones, are going to be new characters that we've never met before? Do you think the zombie outbreak would look much different in different countries, or is it really just going to be a different coat of paint?
I mean, realistically, again, sadly, we have very real world examples to look at in our immediate past. So we know that for all the crappy things, all the mistakes that we have made in this, clearly wasn't a zombie apocalypse level, but pretty pandemic-ish. Human beings are human beings. Matter of fact, it's somewhat irresponsible and pretty stupid to be like, well, this is what the pandemic looked like here, but in Brazil, whoa! Like, what? What are you talking about? So there were more zombies running around in thongs and giant fucking feathers up their butt cracks? Because certainly some zombies you let catch you. We all know this, but that's no different than real life either.
I think those are more like vampires. They're just sucking the energy out of your soul. Those dirty, dirty bags.
6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I mean, it's a stupid, stupid idea. I'm like, oh, what are zombies like in Canada, eh? What's the difference? There's a little bit of maple flavoring when you dip into the brains. Dumb, 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 dumb.
You're telling me you don't want to see a zombie Mountie? Come on, here comes the zombie Mountie.
I do not. Matter of fact, a zombie coming after me wearing hockey gear is going to be exponentially more difficult to club in the head and get yourself out of there when really you just wanted to raid the concession stand. A dumb idea.
So with the popularity of so many of these characters that we've lost, is there a character, living or dead, within the world of Walking Dead where you would love to see more of? I know for a long time they were talking about Daryl and his brother getting like a mini series about their adventures before meeting them in season 1 of The Walking
Honestly,
Dead.
that's a terrible idea also, because Daryl, and famously, he was not at all in the comics ever. He was completely...
His vest was on a special cover once.
His a character that was contrived specifically for the show. But prior to Merle was his brother's name.
Yeah.
He was an asshole. Like we joked about it before, but like he was the epitome of hurt people. He was a total fucking idiot, like a bad guy. And I would say that looking back I don't want to see a Daryl prequel because I like Daryl. And when somebody you like, you are sat down in front of a screen and forced to watch that person being a bad person, is not going to be good. And if they're going to do like a therapeutic fucking show, you're like, this is why he was a douchebag. That is not at all what you tell zombie stories for. Like, I don't need a Lifetime fucking special about the making of Daryl and the retribution. It took a zombie apocalypse to make a man out of him. Like, fuck off, man. Like, honestly, put these poor zombies to bed. Like, in the zombie world, we're just now hearing of, you mentioned World War Z, but fucking with Will Smith.
Yes. I Am Legend 2. Electric Boogaloo.
Which has very, very, very beloved source material, but also as well it was a very well received movie for the differences that it did have to the source. But Will Smith for forever and a day said no to a sequel to that, and then ultimately it took Michael B. Jordan coming around knocking to say, hey, let's fucking do this thing. Here's the idea I have, blah 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 blah, and now it is indeed going to happen. Sometimes you need a little bit of time, right? Time plus desire equals shit that John wants to see and spend money on. And that's the truth of it all. I think this Walking Dead world would do best in putting a fucking pin in it. If you're gonna say, okay, well, the Daryl Carroll show is gonna have something new to offer that we have not had prior, not just another version of it or just like a greatest hits version of it. If the fucking Negan and Maggie show is just gonna be a middle thing, it's just what the zombie apocalypse looks like in New York. Give me a fucking break. We've already got the Real Housewives of New York to see what zombies shuffling around the fucking mean streets of Manhattan look like. Save it, dude. Like, come on, especially that channel that they were so cutting edge, not just in technology, but like they were so cutting edge with the material that they were giving us. This is the fucking this is the channel of Mad Men, right? This is the fuck like this is a they went from like, oh, here's all the best of yesteryear and shit that you may have seen or maybe only heard people talking about. Now we're gonna bring you some original content, and it's like fucking mind blowing, game changing. To like you don't even know if you're watching a repeat of something that had aired 6 months ago or something that they just made yesterday. Like that is a bad fucking look. So I try to live in optimism and say I'll keep my fingers crossed and have these new installments in this Walking Dead world far better than what Fear the Walking Dead brought me or whatever the fucking Teens of the Walking Dead, whatever the hell series that you were talking about that I had never heard of, much less seen. I'm just truly hoping that since they're putting it out there, since they're gonna make it come hell or high water, that it's gonna be worthy of their own pedigree. That's all I can hope for.
Yeah, you know what's so funny is I know with George Romero's zombie flicks and zombie universe, a lot of people, rightfully so, wound up feeling like it was at a certain point diminishing returns. Again, his original zombie trilogy is almost untouchable in its quality. You know, despite when it was made, despite the limitations of budget or technology at the time. No, you can't really look at at Day of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead. Like these films are all but untouchable in the cultural zeitgeist. What I find interesting is that for me, I really, really loved the rest of his zombie pictures too, and some of them got fucking really, really strange. I, I'm worried about this zombie picture set in New York because I got George Romero's like New York City zombie tale, and it was fucking weird. And there was like a battle tank, and if nothing else, it was fun as all hell. And that seems like something all of these Walking Dead pictures are damn positive they're trying to avoid is a sense of fun. So I'm going to enter all of these shows with optimism, but I'm also scared that they'll never be willing to let the stories be like at this point introduce fucking aliens, have aliens show up and fight these fucking zombies, because I cannot imagine what they could do that would be new and interesting. Everyone's fucking dirty, everyone's miserable, you can't trust nobody but yourself. You're gonna become friends with this one guy, oh no, they died, and you're gonna be fucking bummed about it. At some point, like you're saying, I know it's a business, but AMC was at one point poised to be like the HBO killer. And HBO every couple of years will go through a lull, and then they come back with these heavy hitters. And if AMC is so reliant in making The Walking Dead their tentpole, I don't see a world in which that shit gets more interesting. I hope I'm wrong. I hope when I binge the last 8 seasons of Walking Dead, I hope I'm like, oh, it's just fucking, the zombie got shot, and I thought the guy was dead, but now he's a zombie.
The truth of the matter is that they have to really come with a different flavor of this storytelling, because if it's just another chapter in the same vein of what we got, there's nothing worse storytelling wise than an unnecessary chapter. Like if you read something like, oh, this was good, but you know what though, chapter 13, 37, and 52, you could just tear them out and not miss a beat. That's like somebody fucked up. Somebody did not do their job. I just want to leave this because I do know we're up against the clock still. You were talking about conventions and whatnot. Walker Stalker was dope. New York Comic Con obviously is like the new up and comer, and San Diego is the undeniable heavyweight champ. Galaxy Quest might be the greatest convention of all time, considering that's some real adventure type level shit. But that's just this young buck's opinion.
I have to be totally honest, that's the spinoff of Walking Dead I'd be down for. You said it at Walker Stalker Con, and like a real zombie bites somebody on the ass, and you just see the cast of The Walking Dead dealing with real zombies. Like fucking Negan, just a bitch. He's just like, ah! Like I would fucking pay good money swinging the bat, but it's like the foam one that you can buy from the AMC store. So Betsy or whatever the fuck you name that dumb club. John, thank you so much for coming to us from your secret lair today for this beautiful episode. I know I'm going to be optimistic. I hope the series finale is dope. I hope the spinoffs are great. I hope we return to Zombie Fever because God knows it's an evergreen type of story when done right. Any last comments, any last thoughts before we take them home?
The only real thought that I have is in your fictional Walker Stalker Con zombie outbreak, I legitimately think Norman Reedus still walks away relatively unscathed. He's gonna make it happen because even if he was using like the foam Nerf Bopham version of Lucille, he is getting out of there, and in all likelihood on a motorcycle, just because he don't give a fuck.
I would cut to Norman Reedus at the beginning. He's like talking to some like groupie, they're getting along fine. They head up to his hotel room, and the third act, he's just exiting the third, like, what the fuck happened? That would be my Norman Reedus.
No, I don't see it as a Skinamax 2 a.m. flick. I think he is throwing elbows, bloodying lips, stepping on heads, doing what he's got to do to get out the door. That's real shit.
I love it, but I want to hear what you guys think. Are you excited about more Walking Dead glory, or are you not even aware that Walking Dead is still on? Tell us on the link below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. But John, let's take these sucker butts home. How do we end each and every episode of US Comics Cast?
So simple. Flip them over. Make sure they are not been any place exposed or covered up, because the worst kind of people don't tell their boys when they've been bit. But once you've established their cleanliness, then you got to turn the power on. You got to turn the volume up, and you got to tune Bad Mary and open up the window wide and scream out into the night sky. Save me, Space Girl. We out.
I got my sights set on you, and I'm ready to aim. I have a heart that will never be tamed. I knew you were something special when you spoke my name. Now I can't wait to see you again. I got a way of knowing when something is right. time I freaked out, I just kept looking down. My sister stutter when you asked me what I'm thinking about. Felt like I couldn't breathe. You asked what's wrong with me. My best friend Leslie said, oh, she's just being merry. The next time we hang out, I will redeem myself. My heart, it can rest till then. Whoa, I can't wait to see you again. Whoa, I can't wait to see you again. Whoa, I can't wait to see you again.